Welcome to Most Unwanted, an X-Files podcast. This week we are in our second episode of our post-Season 1 content, and we'll be looking at our favourite episodes from Season 1. I'm Chex, and I'm joined as ever by Luke.
How's it going?
Not so bad, not so bad. So I think we should just jump straight into it. I think the format that we're going to run for this particular episode is we're going to we've got a list of 5 episodes. We've been working the past week on what our favourite episodes are, and we've got a list. We don't know each other's lists.
Yeah.
So I think the best way to do this is let's go from number 5 and we'll take it in turns.
Before we start that, do you want to go through the process of how you came to these top 5? How did you sort of like rank them, I guess? Because I have a system, or I was wondering about yours.
Oh, I have no system.
Okay.
I looked at the list and went, I really like that one, and that one. What was your system though? I'm interested in this system.
So like, I went through, similar to yours, I went through all of the episodes and I literally just took out the names of all the ones that I actually enjoyed, put them in sort of like a numbered like list, and then swap them around to rank them in the order that I like them the most. This is weird, like saying it that way. But and then I sort of from that I got a top 5 and just basically canned everything underneath.
Oh, that's fair enough. I mean, it's a thorough way to do it.
The trouble is, there's some that I was really torn about dropping.
I've got a few of those.
My 5 and 6 were I swapped them a few times and then I just finally settled on the number 5. But we'll get into that when we do, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, would you like to start?
Yeah, I'm happy to start. So we start 5, you go 5, then we keep swapping like that.
I think. Well, before we do actually start, I will just make this clear. Our plan is this 5 is our 5 episodes, our 5 favourite episodes going into season 2, and they'll stay that way. We'll keep a note of them, and in the post season 2 content, this will be the starting point of our favourite episodes, and we'll see whether any Season 2 episodes can make it in there.
Basically, yeah.
Can it knock it off the top spot?
It's that chart. It's that top not top 40, but top 5.
And it'll be interesting to see not only how mine and yours differ, but as we go through, do any episodes remain? Do you know what I mean? And then what new episodes are top of the bunch? So
imagine like from if we get into season 2 and then at the end of it, all of these 5 are dropped.
It'd be very interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it changes season by season. So yeah. Anyway, coming in at number 5.
Number 5 for me. This is a tough one because it was a toss up between this and it was. I think I put Squeeze as my 6.
Oh, okay. So Squeeze doesn't make your top 5.
Doesn't make my top 5. So I went with EBE for number 5. I really enjoyed the characters of the lone gunman in this one.
Yeah.
And the mythology in this episode was like, from what we saw in the last episode, the last episode of this series, this felt like a stepping stone to seeing that. We almost get to see an extraterrestrial, but it's gone by the time we get there. We find out a lot more about this conspiracy and how deep it goes, basically. Just the interactions between Mulder and Scully and these lone gunmen, who I'm looking forward to seeing in future episodes.
The lone gunmen were an interesting addition to that episode, and now that I know. Because I didn't know that when I was watching it, but now that I know that they do make an appearance in the future, I'm looking forward to seeing what part they have to play.
I'm interested in their series as well. I know it's quite late. It's much later on in the actual X-Files like series rundown.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested to watch that as well. I don't think I could do that on episode by episode, but yeah.
I'm sure we can do a quick season review when we get to it. I'm sure
could be like in these like in between seasons. We could just do like an episode where we do that
when it's relevant, obviously in chronological order.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Why not?
Yeah, but that was my episode 5. What about yours?
My episode 5 was Eve.
Okay.
I really enjoyed Eve. I liked Eve because it was the one episode that truly kept me guessing from start to finish.
Yeah,
there was a lot of twists and turns, and I genuinely didn't see which way it was going to go. Great performances throughout, and a lot of different dynamics being played. But yeah, most of the other episodes, I mean, don't get me wrong, there was some surprises in episodes, but there was formulaic. This episode just kept me on my toes the entire the way through. I will give an honourable mention. Just missing out on my top 5 spot was Roland. Obviously, we covered that a couple of weeks ago, and if you go back to our review of that episode, I was a big fan of that character. And that character, literally just the character alone, really elevated that episode for me. And so it was so close to being number 5, but it just missed out because of just the excitement that Eve gave me.
Yeah. You just reminded me as well. It wasn't Squeeze that was my number 6.
Oh, okay.
It was Darkness Falls. So that's another episode that didn't make my top 5.
Oh, okay.
Narrowly.
Darkness Falls was a very good episode.
I really enjoyed that episode as well.
I didn't put Darkness Falls in for another reason, which I'll come on to later.
Okay. Is that your number 5, did you say?
Yeah, let's hear your number 4.
So, my number 4 was the last episode we reviewed. So, Erlenmeyer Flask.
Well, I'll just interrupt here and tell you that is also my number 4.
All right,
choice.
okay. I wonder how similar our lists are going to become.
This could be quite awkward if our lists are...
Well, we'll see.
Well, it gives us a chance to discuss it together this way, so it works out at least for number 4.
Yeah.
Great episode.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this episode for the amount of information you get thrown at you about this series plot that's come in. It's brilliant.
And it's exciting. It's got everything in it. It's exciting. You've got real character growth. So, and as you said in the review, the status quo has completely changed. So it leaves you wanting more after the episode's finished.
Exactly.
There's no way we could have a top 5 list and not have this episode in there.
I don't think so.
How could you leave it out? You couldn't.
I think you'd either have to have the finale or the pilot in your top 5. And I mean, the pilot might still be in our top 5, but yeah, it was. It had everything, and such a great episode, such a great one to end on as well. I thought so.
No, I completely agree.
So
I'll go for my number 3 now, being as you had the last pick.
Yeah.
My number 3 was Beyond the Sea.
Right. Okay.
Was yours the same?
Mine too. Yeah.
This is going to be such. We should have thought about this and tried. We should have been draft picks.
See, we talked about this recently about how our opinions on it are too similar, and it's worrying.
Oh yeah, it actually could play out.
Yeah,
that is interesting. But I mean, even if it does, to be fair, it'll be interesting to see who stays on there in season 2.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So it's. I mean, let's be honest. When you've got 48 episodes to choose from, you'd imagine there's going to be a few differences.
Exactly.
So.
That's the thing. We've only got series 1 to choose from.
And there are some obvious picks in season 1, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd definitely say so.
I wouldn't say Beyond the Sea is an obvious pick.
No.
But I think I know why you picked it as well. Because I remember us both being really high on the episode.
Yeah.
And I think it's for one simple reason. Scully.
Yeah.
Scully was phenomenal in this episode. And don't get me wrong, I can't remember who played the...
I can't remember the guy's name. I know he's Grimmer Wormtongue.
Yeah, that's all I remember him for. But he was great too. Yeah. But Scully's performance in this episode rose it above most other episodes for me. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. It's just that the emotional clout of that episode, it seemed more human than most episodes of X-Files. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of human elements to it about the relationship and stuff. But this one was dealing with grief, like we said through the episode, and that thread of the 5 stages of grief that you picked up on when we were reviewing it.
Yeah,
really showcased through the episode. I think so. I loved it. So
yeah, me too. I'm worried about what your next pick is. Okay. So your number 2.
My number 2 is Tombs.
Oh my god.
Oh dear.
My number 2 is also Tombs.
Oh, well, I think this is definitely embarrassing because I also think I know what both of our number ones.
Yeah, I'm almost certain we've got an exact same top 4.
I mean, we'll get to that one, but Tombs. It was our first sequel episode, sequel to an episode, and I think it knocked it out of the park. Like in terms of a sequel, like it amped up all of the stakes from the first episode. From Squeeze.
Yeah, and it brought an already established great character in Tombs back into the series. And he was a great character.
Yeah, exactly.
In Squeeze, he was a great character. And so it brought that in, which didn't hurt the episode at all. No. You had this established storyline. And so it could just get straight into the nitty-gritty, which was great. For me, I'll a little spoiler for number 1, but I didn't put Squeeze in my top 5 list.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it had to be one or the other. Yeah. I didn't want to put Squeeze and Tombs in.
Yeah.
And for me, but don't get me wrong, Squeeze was right up there, episode quality-wise. Tombs edged it for me.
Yeah, Tombs was, for me, the better episode.
Yeah.
Maybe it's got a bit more to do with the fact that we've seen this character develop now into this second episode, and we get this satisfying conclusion to that character as well. You know what I mean? I don't expect to see him again.
No, I don't think we will.
But yeah, that was just a great follow up, and I'd be interested to see if any other episodes going forward do get their sequel episode to it, but other than the mythologies, obviously. But,
yeah.
Be interested to see.
Well, for our number 1, I'm gonna throw a suggestion out there. We're gonna look really stupid if it's this different.
Okay.
But on the count of 3, so I'm gonna say 3, 2, 1, and then we both say the name of our number 1.
Okay.
And I am almost certain it's the same one.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the same.
And coming in at number 1, 3, 2, 1, Ice. Yeah.
I mean,
I knew this was going to be your number 1. Yeah. I'm not going to lie, I knew it, and I'm pretty sure you knew it was going to be mine.
Yeah.
The tension, the character development, the conflict between different characters, and the characters. The best thing about this episode was the side characters were so good as well, and they were so well developed that they could all bounce off each other, and you really got to see different personalities and different sides of the characters we already know.
I always think that with TV shows, you can always tell the quality, especially of the writing and the actual characters themselves, in how they deal with a bottle episode. You know, these episodes where it's literally all one location. There's not much in terms of effects, this, that, and the other going on. It is just the script and the characters talking. And this one absolutely nailed that paranoid sort of feelings exactly as it is in The Thing. Which is it also helps that that's one of my favourite films. Yeah. So it's sort of that amps it up. But
and it doesn't hurt the episode in the fact that it takes inspiration from that.
No. It didn't feel like a rip-off. It felt like an homage. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's spot on.
Yeah, and it just really felt like we started to see the relationship of Mulder and Scully both flourish and fracture at the same time. You know what I mean? You get the two sides of them coming close together and tearing each other apart, and at the same time, it was brilliant. That's hands down my favourite episode so far.
Completely agree. And going back to what I said earlier, this episode's the reason why I didn't put Darkness Falls in.
Yeah,
simply because Darkness Falls had the same type of episode where it was based around the tension. Yeah. I feel like Ice did it better.
Yeah, I agree.
So I put Ice in there instead.
They are quite similar tonally, I think. In what they deal with.
I've got one more question for you before we wrap up this sort of post-season episode. I find it very interesting that neither of us picked the pilots.
Yeah.
So the pilot got us into the season and got us into it, and we both enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't our favourite episode, which suggests it ramped up and it got better as the season went on, which is a good thing. My question to you is, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, can you think of a particular scene that you watched which made you realise this series is going to be for me? Because I tell you what, while you're thinking about it, I'll tell you mine. Mine was in Conduit, right at the end when you see Mulder crying about his sister.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but that really resonated to me, and it almost got me sort of teary-eyed. And I remember just thinking, I care about this character.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise it before because you've got all the quips and you've got all the nonsense, but I cared about this character. And to do that in 2 episodes, I think it might have been 3 episodes, something must have been doing something right, and that's when I sort of started really ramping up my sort of
I know
my interest in X-Files.
See, initially when you started saying scene, I thought you just meant what was your favourite scene of the series so far. And initially I went to Beyond the Sea in that scene between Grimmer, and Scully. That was just phenomenal scene.
I'd say that was my best scene if I had to choose a best scene.
But the scene that got me into the series,
the turning point, if you will.
Yeah. God, that's difficult. I think it was something like Squeeze.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A lot of great scenes.
I think in Squeeze it was this because I'm always one for I like weird creatures and stories and the sci-fi stories to them, and this was just a good one about a really sinister monster, I guess.
Yeah.
And it is a person, and it is a villain, but it's this weird sort of monster that these two characters that we've started to get to know, and they're dealing with, and it might have been that scene in at Scully's house or what?
When he squeezes through the gate.
I think it might have been that where I was you start getting attention of what they're dealing with, as well as having this
something close,
cool monster,
and it's closer to home as well.
Yeah,
it's a little bit more sort of personal to them, which is it's interesting.
But I'd say that if you gave me longer to think about it, maybe I'd change my mind. But on the spot, I'd say that.
That's why I put you on the spot to make it a little bit interesting. Okie doke. So that's been our favourite episode for season 1 at least. Do you agree with our choices? Do you disagree? You can get in touch with us and let us know. It's at mostunwantedpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can just send us a message on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Yeah. All of the links are in the bio.
If you've got a list as well of top 5, I reckon send them in. We can have a look at those. We might be able to read a few of those out next series.
Yes, exactly. So send them all in if you do want to, and let us know what you think of ours. Next week we'll be discussing our predictions for season 2, and not just season 2. Overall as well. So we've got a few ideas, and what we're going to do in that episode is we're going to keep these predictions, a lot like these lists, keep these predictions, and we're going to revisit them every season. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how much we got wrong and how much we've been completely wrong about. Yeah. So, but as for this week, I've been Chex.
And I've been Luke.
And we'll see you next week.